Hey, everybody.
What it do, baby? Take 3, everybody.
Yeah.
What's up?
Nothing much. I actually have a cool story, though, from my week that I want to share.
Okay.
It's cool to me. I don't know if everybody will find it.
That's all that
cool.
matters. As long as it's cool to you.
The Lord gets it.
Right.
Okay. So, basically, the school year's like coming to an end, so
Praise God
I haven't
for that.
I haven't really had, some of my classes have been dropping. So yesterday, me and my friend, we decided to just do some shopping. We went out to eat, and then we decided to go to Walmart. Okay, so I go to Walmart, and I don't shop at Walmart, but we decided today to just look at the clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the clothes, and low-key, Walmart has some good
That's
stuff.
what I heard. I heard Walmart really got some low-key fits.
They do, actually. Not everything.
But I feel like if you can go thrifting, you can go to Walmart and buy some clothes, too.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Honestly, yeah. And it's not even cheap. Like, I saw a dress for like $50. I said, oh,
No, they acting like Alter State.
No. But, so we were shopping, and I saw this skirt, okay, that was so cute. It's like this, like, lace white. They had different colors, but the white one caught my eye.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm looking through the rack to find my size. Usually I'm a medium,
Mm-hmm.
but the medium looked kind of big, but they didn't have a small. So I took the white medium,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw there was a brown one. So I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll like this one. I looked to see if they had a small. They did. So if I didn't like the brown, at least I'll know if the small fits me, if the medium doesn't, you know?
Okay.
So I took them both, went to the, the try on, what do you call it?
The changing room?
Yes, thank you. I went to the changing room, tried it on. The medium did not fit, which was the white, the one that I really liked. Then I tried on the brown.
Mm-hmm.
That one fit, but it wasn't.
It wasn't what?
I see it. Anyways, it fit, but I didn't like the color.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, so there's a point to my story. Like, you just gotta
go ahead. I'm waiting for that plane land. It better be a good plane land too.
I didn't like the color, and so I just felt so discouraged because I'm like, oh Lord, I really want it. And I literally told my friend, I was like, I'm determined to find this white one because I really liked it.
Yeah.
And so I looked for a little bit, 5 minutes, but I was like, you know what, I give up. I'm not gonna find it.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we're leaving,
Mm-hmm.
because I also prayed. I was like, Lord, and it was like a quick prayer, but I was just like, Lord, like, I really want this skirt. And so we're leaving because I'm like, it's hopeless. I'm not gonna find it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're walking out, and tell me why I look to my left. And I see a white skirt. And then I immediately am like, Lord. So I run to it. Guess what size? It was a small. I literally started jumping up and down, like literally in the middle of Walmart, like, praise the Lord. Like, I really wanted it.
But did you praise the Lord?
Boy.
They ain't no a prophet is without honor, never without honor except in his own home.
I'm sorry. I praised, like, I was up
Go
in
ahead,
Walmart.
girl, tell me.
I was in Walmart jumping up and down, literally saying, thank you, Lord. And I think my friend was embarrassed because she was like trying to hide her face. But you got to
give him glory when you trying to give him glory.
I was genuinely so so happy. And I was praising my heart out. We walked to the line in the middle of the aisle, and I was still all loud talking about it.
Well, now you got to wear the dress either on Sunday night or on the podcast so we can see it.
My little testimony.
Your little
but
testimony.
It's like small things like that that's just like you see the Lord's faithfulness. Because literally, it's not even like I went full on like praying on my knees. It was just a simple like, Lord, like, I just really want this. And he provided. And it's like, I feel like it just increased my faith in that moment in a way that was just like so like special and genuine. And so he's just so faithful even in like those small moments.
I think that's good because I think sometimes we focus on the big things when we miss a lot of little moments that God is doing to remind us that he's present, he's faithful, and that he's not far away from you. He may not be meeting the big needs in your life, but he's taking care of the little things that you kind of stop thinking about that are also necessary.
The truth is, like, he is meeting those big needs, but I feel like it's even in those small moments of faithfulness that it's like it's sustaining you to wait for the big thing that he's doing that you just can't see yet, you know? So he's faithful.
Shout out to the white dress.
White skirt, yeah.
Yeah. Did you you were at church on Sunday. I had to leave, so I didn't get to listen to the sermon. But you heard
she was good.
She always do a great job. Shout out to Cynthia and Next Gen. Yeah. She always comes and does an incredible job. You said that you had questions that you wanted to ask me.
I do.
Even though I wasn't there.
Okay. Well, I mean, the questions that I wanted to ask you kind of were like as we got to talking.
Sure. We're talking right now. Well, you've been talking about this dress for like the last 30 minutes, but
that's my testimony. I've been so excited literally since yesterday to tell that story.
I know it's like one of the first things you told me this morning. It's like, I got a testimony for the podcast. I can't wait.
Yes. But I don't think that you know. I mean, genuinely.
Well, I'm usually not prepared anyway, so just ask.
Right. Yeah. We'll work on that though. But like I'm saying, I kind of wanted us to like get into like the conversation of what she talked about, because like the questions are pretty straightforward of like what she talked about. I guess we could go like just briefly like read the points just because I thought that they were good. But the first one that she put was God remind me, God interrupt me, and God use me.
That's good.
Yeah. And one of the things that she said that really like that stick out to me, it's not very encouraging, but it's like truth. But she said that by nature we're selfish beings. And so like it just stuck out to me because I feel like if we really think about it, like our lack of serving is honestly like a result of like a bad heart posture that we have in like our own selfishness, because we want to be comfortable, or we feel like we it's not benefiting us, so we don't feel like a need and a pull to do it. And so it shows like our true nature, that we're selfish, and that's a big reason that we don't serve or don't even have like the desire to serve, because we're so like self-consumed, you know. And so I don't know, that just stick out to me of like, because I feel like I don't personally, for me, like I don't want to, because I can tell, in my human nature I'm selfish, like I know my selfish moments, but I don't want to submit to that and like just because I'm human, like I want to just live off of being selfish. Like I want to go out and do the uncomfortable thing. Because she said something too. She said serving is supposed to, actually I think I said that. I put this in my notes. Okay. But serving is supposed to be selfless and make us uncomfortable. And so if you feel like it doesn't make, like if you feel like you're comfortable in what you're serving, you're probably not actually like serving to your fullest potential.
Yeah, I always think it's important to serve people who can't necessarily serve you back in the same way you serve them. It's like you get nothing in return for this. For real, service. But that's true service. They're like, they can't really do much for you, but you can do everything for them, and you choose to do it anyway. And I think that's healthy for the heart, especially for the heart that is selfish, that is always self-seeking. I think one of the practical things to do to offset the selfish heart is to do practical things that requires you to help somebody who can't in turn help you the way you've been helped. So you almost position yourself to do something and get nothing back in return, which I think Jesus models well, Yeah.
And I think you have to be willing, because if like from the jump your heart is not willing, you're not going to actually serve. Yeah. And there's a verse in Isaiah 6:8.
Come on, book.
Yes. Bible. It's, which I know you know it, but it's, then I heard the Lord asking, whom shall I send as a messenger to this people? Who will go for us? I said, here I am, send me. Like that should be our heart posture.
You know what's incredible about that passage of scripture?
What?
I never thought about this till like recently in my life, but probably this year, honestly. When Isaiah says this, he is in the presence of angels, of messengers of God. And when God asked the question, who will go for us, he don't allow the angels to speak before he speak. He stands up and say, no, I'll go. Yeah. Like, let me go for God and the council, because I want to serve him. That is incredible.
Yeah. And I'd imagine it's scary. Like, it's like people who are better at it, to put it in our context, people who are better at it than you, or like who might have more experience, but out of your willingness, you're going to just do it because you know it glorifies the Lord, even if it makes you uncomfortable. And I think that takes boldness.
And that's so much about it. I think so much of the reason why we find it difficult to say yes to God's calling in our life is because we compare ourselves to other people. Like, God, just get them to do it. They better at it. And it's like, they might be better at it, but I didn't ask them to do it. I asked you to do it. You know what I'm saying? Good. And so like, it's never about who can do what, because at the end of the day, God is the person who's going to do the work, and he chooses who he wants to use to do the work. And so if you find yourself saying, man, I'm not doing that because or not even saying I'm not going to do it, you will defer the calling yourself. Like, I think somebody needs to do this, so like I'm just going to get Elaia to do it because God put it on my heart that it needs to be done. Man, what if God put it on your heart for you to be the one to do it, right? And you don't have to be the best. He just needs your obedience, and he can do the rest.
That is so good, because literally that's just where, like, I was just talking to the Lord about this literally last night, because like, if I'm being honest, things like this, like the podcast or even like the class, like those things make me uncomfortable. And like, genuinely, I was just talking to the Lord, like, part of me doesn't necessarily even want to do this, because it's like, I was telling him, there's definitely people that are better at it than me, that aren't as like nervous and can speak better than me, but like, if you've placed me in this position, it doesn't matter, like, if there's somebody more capable, like, you don't what is it, qualify, you don't call the
he don't call to qualify, he qualifies the called.
Yes. And so it's like, if you've called me to it, then that's enough. Like, you're going to actually be the one who produces something out of it, not even myself. So,
and I think what's important for us to keep in perspective is that God is not just concerned with where you are right now. He's concerned with where he's taking you. You can't get there until you take the first step of obedience.
Yeah.
God, this is important. God has a vision for your life. He has a vision for who you are as a person, the thoughts you think, the emotions you carry, how you respond to those emotions, how you respond to people. God has a vision for who he wants you to be as a person, as a man and a woman. And that person reflects the image and likeness of Christ, right? And in order for us to be that, we have to walk in obedience. It's not about everybody else's walk. It's not about everybody else's journey. It's about you believing that God has a plan and a purpose for your life, and if you submit to his lordship, if you submit to what he's asking you to do in obedience, then what you will find later is you are a better person than you ever imagined you could be, because you said yes to Jesus in seasons where it was uncomfortable, where it didn't make sense, when you didn't understand what was going on, but you look back over your life and you're like, man, whole time God was doing something important, and I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I didn't give God my yes when it didn't make sense, when people were better than me, when I was still weak. Gideon's a great example of this if you go read the book of Judges. So anyway.
Okay. So we've talked about serving should make us.
You see how she just moved past that? Like,
no,
okay,
that
cute.
Good.
Anyway. No, I'm just playing. I just thought it was funny.
No, that was really good. And it's actually, I was going to say this too, it's ministering to my spirit and my soul.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah. But I was going to lead us into like same area of topic, but into my question, because we talked about like serving should be uncomfortable and it should be selfless. And Miss Cynthia, she in her message, she talked about one of the points that really stuck out to me, because I've had my experience with this with other people, but like not being scared to like go to the French Quarter and evangelize, because like, oh, they scare me, I don't want to get hurt, like things like that. And so my question is, what would you say to someone who is struggling to have a serving like heart posture, or like people who like want to serve, like part of them like wants to serve, but they're just like, I just genuinely don't like care, like I can't care enough to want to be humble enough to serve people, you know, if that makes sense.
So it's like a pride issue, it's like a pride thing, or
could be, but it's just like you don't have like,
they don't have, like, you don't care to go serve, like it's not,
like, it's not
that's
even
for
like
them,
in a
not for me.
malicious way, but it's just like you're indifferent. Like, I don't feel like a pull of like, oh well, I want to serve.
Yeah, you know what I'll tell that person? You lost sight of the cross. Period. I mean, when you think about what Jesus had, the way Jesus served us by taking our place and dying the death that we deserved, so that we can, so that by his stripes we would be healed, by his wounds and all the things he went through. I can't quote it, I just lost it. But but based on everything that he went through, like he did those things for us. It's like, how can you not go serve somebody else? Like the things that Jesus did to you is never intended for you to be the only person affected by it. Those things are intended for you to flow through you. And so I think when we lose sight of the cross, we become selfish, right? We become nonchalant about helping those who are in need, because we forgot that we were once in need and somebody met us in our desperation. And I think that sometimes, I think we can never graduate from the cross, the gospel. We should always go back to the gospel, because the gospel is going to remind us that we don't get wants. what we are called to do is follow in the footsteps of Jesus. Not only are we called to do that, but the gospel is pushing us in this direction. It is actually propelling us to serve. This is why Jesus says, whatever you've done to them, to the least of these, you've done unto me.
Yeah.
Because I did this to you first, right? I served you. I went out of my way for you. I left the glories of heaven. Didn't think equality with God as something to be taken advantage of, but I lowered myself, humbled myself, took on the form of a servant. When you think about that passage, you like, well, I guess I can go serve somebody today because what did Jesus did for me? And nobody's asking me to die on the cross. Nobody's asking me to go die in their place. But because somebody died in my place, the least that I could do, my reasonable service, as Paul says, my reasonable service is to lay down my life as a living sacrifice. And so if Jesus came and he sought to serve, then so are we to serve. Yeah. And so I would tell that person to go back to the gospel and remember what Jesus has done for you, because you clearly lost sight of it. If not in your head, definitely in your heart.
Yeah, because it's not even like we're just like, yes, we're physically serving man, but above that, we're serving God when we serve. And so it's like you said, like if he did that for me, if he died for me, I ought to serve him through serving, my brothers and sisters or my neighbors.
Absolutely.
So that's good. And then I've even which I don't know if your answer would like be the same, or if you would have a different answer to this, but you can speak to like people who even like, maybe it's not even that they're like indifferent to serving or they don't feel the need or the want to serve, but they're plagued with like for example, going to the French Quarter because maybe they're scared. And they're like, well, I'm not equipped. I don't have like enough knowledge. I don't have enough understanding. I don't feel ready, so I'm just not going to do it. Like, what do you have to say about that? And like, how do you counteract that mindset?
Not being ready is not an excuse when you're not doing nothing to get ready.
Thank you.
Like if you're not getting ready, you can't say I'm not ready. Like you don't want to be ready, because if you was ready, you wouldn't go anyway. So that's what I would tell them. Okay. And not only that, but once you are ready, it's like you just gotta go. Like I went to a conference this week at Watermark. Shout out Watermark for the Church Leaders Conference. They did a great job. And JP, he's a pastor at Harris Creek Baptist Church, or Harris Creek Church in Texas, I think Waco, Texas. And he preached about getting outside of ourselves, basically, and going to reach the nations, going to reach the lost people in our life. And part of what he was getting at is this whole idea, and Cynthia talked about this as well, about being interruptible, right? And like getting outside of yourself to go serve people. And he talked about how he would be sharing the gospel with people, and he's gotten so good at it. But when he first started, he was terrible at it. Like he just wasn't as strong then as he is now. And so what's the saying? I don't remember the saying, but basically you're never going to become great at anything unless you start somewhere. So start somewhere. Even if sometimes you got to go out there with somebody else. Yeah. Take somebody with you who you know is good, who's more experienced, who's more polished, and just model their example. Be with them, see what they doing, see how they responding, see how they handle situations, and then now you have something to mimic, right? Something to go off of, and you go with somebody you also have support for when you do it by yourself. So that's what I would say to that person. What would you say to him?
There's nothing. Okay, I was gonna say there's nothing that bothers me more. That's not fully true. There's definitely things that bother me more, but I just and because I've had experience with it, and I love those people, like they're my friends. Sure. But because I've had experience where it's like I've been in the French Quarter and like just wanna I just tell them like, oh, I really want to evangelize, and like low-key I've almost gotten into like arguments.
I know, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Oh, I forgot about that. But not, which isn't good. We shouldn't be. We weren't like arguing, but like it did just get a little like I personally was just annoyed because it's like I don't like the act of like justifying like not going because okay, something that was said was like God is a God of yes or no. So like basically you can tell him yes you want to serve, or no you don't want to serve, and I was just like that's not biblical.
How being the Lord of somebody's life works.
And that just got under my skin because it's just like that's just not true, and I feel like that's what the mindset that so many people have of like, if you're not ready, then it's okay to just like put it on the back burner because you don't think you're ready. But that's just not the case. Like, you're not going to get ready or be comfortable until you do something. But if you choose not to do it, then yeah, you're going to forever be scared because you're not making yourself uncomfortable to serve the Lord. And so I would say you have to do it anyways. Like, if you're scared, that means you should do it and like get yourself comfortable with the uncomfortable, especially when it's to advance the kingdom of God.
You can't stand before God on the day of judgment and he asks you, why didn't you believe? And you say, I wasn't ready. That's not how that works. Yeah. There's a place for people whose response is, I wasn't ready.
You could tell them that.
You can tell them that. But my point is that it's not an excuse, right? It's not an excuse for you to say you're not ready, because there's ways in which you can be ready. Yeah. You got to be doing something. Right. Yeah. And I think part of that something for all of us is going out there. Even if you going out there and you not the person talking today, like you're with somebody else is doing an evangelism and you just kind of there as a support system. That's doing something.
And that's still active worship.
Yes,
like that's
absolutely.
Still equipping yourself because your heart is there. Like you have the intention of like, I want to be able to be the one to evangelize and actually talk and communicate with people and share the good news. I just maybe am plagued with fear right now, but I'm still going to put myself in the environment where the longer I'm in that environment, the more comfortable I'm going to get with like, okay, maybe I'm ready to try it now. But if you're just like, I don't want to talk, I don't want to go, I don't want to do it, then you're of course never going to do it.
JP was in his sermon, he was talking about how he always goes to restaurants and stuff and he shares the gospel with people, and he's really good at it. Like he's you know, you can tell he been.
Who is JP?
His name, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he was I just said earlier he was a pastor. He is a pastor in Texas at Harris Creek Church.
That's okay.
Yeah. And he talked about how his daughter is very introverted. And so, you know, no one really anticipated her really being bold enough to share her faith, even though she watched him model it in so many different times in their life. Well, one day he meant to pick up his daughter and she ran to him like full sprint, bawling, crying, like in his arm, just hugged him and just started crying. And he was like, oh my gosh, baby, what's wrong? Like, what's happening? Is everything okay? How can I help you? Whatever. And she finally mustered up the strength after crying so hard to say, God, thank you for modeling. Dad, thank you for modeling for me how to share my faith and how to share the gospel. And she was crying so much because she had just shared her faith with somebody. And it was a big deal for her, not necessarily because the person got saved, but because she finally was able to step outside of her comfort zone and have a gospel conversation with somebody. And he goes on to say that she's probably the most efficient person in winning people to Jesus in his family, because she's decided to overcome her feelings of being an introvert and share Jesus anyway. I think, and I say that to say a lot of the reason she got there is because it was modeled for her. And so I would encourage you to get around people who can model it for you, who can show you how to do it, so that you can grow in readiness and be an effective witness for Jesus, not just with your actions, but even with your words. I think both are important.
Yeah, that's good, because like I haven't had a whole a whole bunch of experience with like specifically going to the French Quarter, but I've had a good bit, because for one of my classes was evangelism and we went I think every Monday, and so that's kind of like how I started. Like if I went with like my friend Carter, she for the first few times pretty much did most of the talking, and I was just observing, because it's like I had never really done it, not in the French Quarter, and so I just listened to how she talked, like listened to the things that they'd be asking her, like the conversations, and then eventually I had a really good conversation with someone too. Like she started, and then she like and it was actually really cool too, because I was literally praying, because like I had something to say, and I was like, Lord, like I kind of want to say something. I pray that you open up that door. And literally as soon as I ended that prayer, then she was like, do you have anything to say? And I was like, wow, that's crazy, Lord. And so we had like, that's a core memory, because it's like we had a really good conversation with someone, and I didn't just rush into it. Like I took my time and observed and was patient, and then it led to me being able to do it for myself. So
and I think that's incredible, because you know, we talk about, I think about Peter when a man in Acts, I can't remember where it's at, but somebody asked him for money. And he was like, silver and gold I do not have for you, but like what I do give you is, you know, like something about salvation and just Jesus and stuff like that. And so I think that passage is a reminder to me that the greatest way you can serve somebody is by serving them the gospel. right? And I think the gospel is twofold, right? It's not just words, but it's also action. So I think that we have to be mindful that, you know, somebody to meet people's tangible needs, because Jesus says when you do that, you do it unto me. But also I think that we can't neglect this sense that people also need to hear the good news about Jesus, because what we give them tangibly will sustain them for a moment, but if they receive the gospel and they accept Christ, that will sustain them throughout eternity, right? And so I think both are necessary. I think both are important, and I think that we have to make sure we are doing both as a church, as a ministry, as an individual. Meet the tangible needs of people, but don't neglect the greater need, and that is salvation for their souls.
I think they go hand in hand too.
Absolutely.
Like physically and spiritually, you can serve them at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So how are you going to be interruptible this week? Did you get a bag?
I did, but it ran out because which is a really good thing.
Oh, we ran out of stuff?
Yes, everybody was getting stuff. So my bag was filled with water. But
hey, they need water too.
But my thing is too, it's sitting in my car, so I'm just like, and it's hot, you know.
Girl, if you don't get them people that water, when you ain't got water, when you don't have water, what's not good about
cancerous and stuff? I thought, yeah,
you got to get off the internet.
Plastic.
How you think the water? How you think the water got here? You don't think it was sitting in the palace in some warehouse one day before they put it on the hot truck?
Not in plastic. You do your research. It's an actual thing. Yeah.
Don't take her side, Daniel.
See.
So what? You just gonna keep it? You drink it.
See, that's the thing too. If I wouldn't want to drink it, but that's a story for a whole nother worth considering. No. But yeah, how am I gonna do that? So. Well, I would actually, one practical way is like, I want to try to, I don't know about getting maybe a group to go to the French Quarter, because I love doing that. Like, I absolutely love going to the French Quarter and evangelizing. So, I want to definitely try to do that. But also, like, just practical, like, everyday life things. And I have an example. So, not the last time, but the time before, I was at Sam's, probably getting errands for the BLOC. And then this lady, she came up to me and she, she looked in need. And so she was just asking me if I had money or whatever. And I don't carry cash. So I really only had like some change. And so I gave her the change. But, and then because I think she was also kind of talking about, she was like, kind of saying like, oh, God bless you or stuff. So it's like I knew she, had some sort of
something going on.
Yeah. So I just offered to pray with her, because she was talking about God a lot. Like, I didn't think she was. It was the way that she was talking was giving that she knew the Lord. So I didn't feel the need to like go into full like evangelism or gospel mode, because I don't remember what she was saying, but whatever she was saying, I felt like she knew the Lord. And so I just was like, can I pray for you? And then she was like, absolutely. And so then we just prayed, and it was a beautiful moment. But like, even I didn't have much to give her, but like, she was grateful for the little bit of change that I had. But I just felt like me asking her to pray for her, I think touched her heart, because I don't know, she just was very, very receptive, and seemed like when I say, oh, can I pray for you? She was like, yes, absolutely. And so, just like ways like that. Cause like sometimes I'm good with that. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, like, I'm nervous, or like, oh, I don't really, my heart doesn't feel like I want to.
Cause sometimes I'm sitting somewhere and I feel like the Lord want me to go pray for somebody, or just check on them, see how they doing. And I'll be like, oh, God, I don't know. They probably all right. Yeah. And just having the boldness and the courage to say yes to God, even in the moments that don't seem really important or meaningful or necessary, but just trusting the leadership of the Spirit. And I think God will do incredible things with even those little yeses, like we was talking about. Like, they may not seem like a big deal, but it makes a big deal in somebody's life, because you don't know what they're praying. They might have just asked God for a sign or something, and you can be the answer to their prayer. So that's good.
That reminded me of something that she said. But I don't. Oh, she was like, in fact, I think I wrote it down. But she said, how many miracles would take place if we let God interrupt us? Which was one of her points, was God interrupt me.
Yeah,
so that's good. Like, if you just get out of your like, oh, well, I'm going to Sam's, or I'm sitting down, I want to eat, like I want to enjoy myself, and you're like, okay, you know what, Lord, I'm gonna step outside of myself for a moment. If I feel like you're leading me to do this, then I'm gonna pray with this person, or I'm gonna go ask if they're okay, even if it disrupts my day in some kind of way. And like, I know you're gonna move if that's what you're calling me to do. So let him interrupt you.
Well, I pray if you listening to this, that you see God do miracles in your life this week. Yes. If you say yes to him and you allow yourself to be interrupted, what might God do with your life? He may do something miraculous. Mighty God.
He will.
Holly. Yes. Show us how, stand in front of the camera and show us how you shouting at Walmart. Come on, show us how you shouting at Walmart.
How I what?
How you was shouting. Wrong. My bad. She didn't grow up in a black church. We love y'all so much. We can't wait to see y'all next week. Okay, see y'all on Sunday.